Hello, 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 everyone. It's Carol Sankar. Thank you so much for being in my virtual space here as we get ready to talk about confidence, money, and mastery. Today, I'm only discussing money. I know this is a conversation that a lot of people always ask me, well, why don't you talk about money more often in some of these podcasts that you do? And because that's my level of familiarity. I love money and I talk about it all the time. And as a real estate investor, it's something that we have to deal with all the time. It's how much is something? How much are we willing to pay for it? So the money exchange is very much an open topic that I have to deal with on a daily basis. However, in my business consulting career, as far as leading the confidence factor for women in leadership, when I'm working with women who are entrepreneurs, women who are heartfelt entrepreneurs who are dead set that they're going to live their life's mission about their passion and about their purpose, one thing they forget is the profit. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to really have a huge issue and I'm going to really dissect some things for you because one of the issues I work with every single day, and I mean this in no disrespect, I really mean this in a way to really get you out of your own way of thinking, is that if you want it done cheap, hire a woman. Because every day I fight with women over money, especially when it comes to pricing themselves, pricing their mastery, pricing themselves, pricing their expertise, pricing their products, pricing their time. I deal with a lot of issues with regard to women who have issues with pricing. So we're going to sit here today and really talk about money in a way that I haven't done in a long time because I have been so busy really supporting leaders that I have not positioned the money talk in a way that is going to facilitate you to think bigger. So let me talk about my own journey and some of my own struggles with money. As an immigrant kid, we are taught to sacrifice. Immigrants just generally sacrifice everything. We're taught to try to make as much as you can, but sacrifice as much as you can, especially as women. It's about us laboring in order to give back. My grandmother was a woman who gave a lot to the community. My grandmother gave away shelter. She made food for people in our community. She would actually cook dinner for my aunt and uncle because by the time they came home from work, she believed they'd be too tired. So my grandmother made the additional sacrifice of cooking for people, just anything you wanted, she would always provide it. We had an apartment. We had a three-story townhouse in Brooklyn, and our third floor was a fully done over two-bedroom apartment. And in those days between the 80s and the 90s, those apartments were going for retail in my area for I think like $1,500 a month. My grandmother just decided it wasn't fair. She saw this woman who literally became like a mother to me. I love her to death, and she basically grew up with us. My grandmother found her one day at a grocery store and she was just divorcing her husband. My grandmother felt very bad for her and she was like, I was looking for a place to live, but everything is so expensive. And now that I'm starting over, I have nothing. And my grandmother gave her that apartment for $600 a month. For the next 20 years, mind you, all this lady paid was $600 a month for 20 years. Hello. My grandmother just wanted to help her out. And so that money shame was just like, I'm not going to ever kick her out. She's like a daughter to me, and I'm never going to raise the rent. Mind you, everybody at this time is getting $1,500 a month. We're getting 600. And then it was like, okay, Granny, we really have to raise the rate. And my grandmother just refused to. As a matter of fact, she'd let this lady park in our garage. There'd be times I'd be like, I need to park my own car. My grandmother would be like, no, let her park. And so all of these were the money shames and the money pities that I was given. And so when I went into corporate America, I went into corporate America a few times. I went in while I was in college and then I came out again and I did some volunteer work and then went in with a more solidified amount of a body of experience. And I think I was about 20 or 21. And I accepted the salary they gave me. I didn't negotiate. I didn't ask for anything more. I just felt like I wasn't worth negotiating yet because I didn't have the experience. And so I talked myself into taking less. And at that moment, I started to realize I started to compromise big time because then they would take away my lunch hours. They'd tell me what time to come in and out. And so they knew they had the cheapest worker in the firm. And this was the story of my life until I got clear about money. I got clear about what I was asking for and why I needed to ask. I got very clear about negotiating. I got very clear about my value proposition and really increasing my ask, positioning myself in such a way where I didn't have to be apologetic about what I wanted and what I demanded. I run a business that you would be shocked. And I say this everywhere I go. You can always go check all my other podcasts or any interviews or any talks that I've ever given. I don't do consultations. I don't do in-person meetings. I rarely do a coffee meeting. You might have to catch me for coffee if I'm in a coffee shop. I don't do any of that stuff because all of those are part of our money shame as business women. All of the consultations with people who just want to pick your brain and spend all of your days talking to you as friends. And I have no issue with that, but I've given such a collective of work as I put enough content out there that I don't believe that I should have to give away any of my other time for free. And so when I say that to people, they're like, oh, Carol, you don't do consultations? No, I don't. Unless I have a consultation with regard to an opportunity that I know that is going to further metastasize the size of my business model, I don't do prospecting conversations. It's just not something that's worth it for me. And many people used to try to make me feel very kind of sad about it. Like, oh my God, but that's not the good way to do it. You got to get to know your customer and you got to talk to them. And this would become the story of my life, where I would show people without talking to anyone, I still make enough money, if not more money than most of the others who are spending hours a day doing the pity party ring around with people who don't have money. And I'll be honest with you, the trick of the trade is that many of the things that we do around money with regard to the self-sabotage, pricing ourselves very low, not asking for what we want, not asking for our value, discounting and hoping that later on someone will want to pay you more. All of that is all of this behavior that we as women have in our narrative about the guilt and the shame about positioning ourselves for wealth. Ask yourself this. In your money story, in your money history, do you have someone who has taught you to give more than you receive? Have you been listening to people tell you, you've got to give away this for free in order to get that? You've got to keep doing it for free. Or like I sometimes train other speakers when they tell me, I've been looking for paid speaking engagements. So they're doing all of the free stuff, every free engagement they can get their hands on, and hoping that one day it'll pay off. There's something in our history that allows us to discount our value in such a way that when we decide to play big, people make us feel guilty and shame for playing big. I remember when I had boasted one time about me going after an $11 million project, a real estate project. When I say boasted, I said it amongst a group of friends, but of course, when I said it to a few women, well, why can't you just do something for like $11,000? Why do you have to always go after the $1 million projects? And it's because I knew that if I wanted to win big, I had to play big. So I had to stop going after the $11,000 projects and go after the $11 million projects. And I've gone on to do $100 million projects very easily. They're much easier than doing the $100,000 projects that often I have to pull and tug and pull, and there's a higher rate of competition. I have a talk that I give. It's called Increase Your Ask, and I show women that it is much easier to ask for $100 million versus $10,000. It is so much simpler. And the simple philosophy behind this is this. There's less competition with bigger numbers. There's less competition. You don't have as many people competing to ask for $10,000 as you do for $100 million. You don't have as much competition. For those of you who are in the entrepreneurial space, if you have a $99 program, you're competing with everybody who has a $99 program. It seems like everybody gets up in the morning and has a $99 something, right? But you're not going to compete with anybody if you had a $9,000 or even $90,000 offer. It's a much different way of competing. And you're not competing. You're actually winning. Because if you had a $90,000 offer as an entrepreneur, you had a $90,000 program, a $90,000 mentoring session with you, I guarantee you'll only need one or two of those to close $180,000 a year versus your $90 program where you would need what, 10 times, 1,000 times more than that in order for you to get that. 10,000% more in order for you to close the same amount of business. I don't know about you, but there's not that much more time in the day, right? And if you want to really build a successful business, you cannot begin by selling on volume. You're not Walmart. You're just not Walmart. You cannot sell on volume that easily. Walmart is the only competitive buyer in that space because they can afford to buy big and sell cheap because they're buying in bulk. You're not Sam's Club. You're not Walmart. You can't afford it. If you are just a mom and pop, one solopreneur, or maybe you have 5 to 10 or 20 employees, you can't afford to discount it. You have overhead. Whether you believe it or not, you have overhead and you cannot expand by retracting to play small. So many of the women that come to me in the Confidence Factor are all playing at this affordable level, just avoiding the push to go up. And I know what this is all about. This is about not believing that you can ask for more and actually receive it. And this is also because when you play in a small space long enough, you start believing that that is the normal way everybody does everything. You start believing that everybody has to charge $99 because everybody that you're aligned with, everybody you're associated with is charging $99. Am I right? Everybody who's in your alignment, everybody who's in your circle charges the same thing. So you immediately begin the sabotaging behaviors because you immediately associate small with small. And so you see some people looking like they're getting ahead, which could easily be image, or it could be that they are getting ahead, but they're selling on volume. And then nobody tells you how exhausted they are. I have, in my past, almost lost a multiple six-figure business by charging $11. Simply put, people bouncing checks left and right. Here's how it began. Trying to play affordable, trying to be affordable, trying to really get myself into the market. I thought this is the way you, I'm going to put hyper quotes around it, increase your audience. I went ahead and I created an $11 coaching program. I made it live. And this is before we had automatic billing with so many processes that we do now. But this is like 2010, 2011, where we had to do ACH. And if some of you don't remember ACH, it wasn't that long ago, where people had to actually enter into your payment processing system, and that was including PayPal. They had to enter their check. They had to enter a full check information into the payment processing system, and then it will automatically start billing that check every single month for that amount. Or you can do it through a merchant service that was on my website at that time. Breathe in, Carol, as you tell this story, because I never want to repeat this again. And so people entered their information. The first month, we had hundreds of women in this program. I mean, hundreds. From a financial standpoint, it looked like it was great. And then the next month, it was doing great. We were still, high numbers. People were still re-enrolling and enrolling. By the third month, we noticed a sharp decline of payments. By the fourth month, another sharp decline of payments. Now, the thing is, they had not unenrolled in the program. Their payments were not processing. And so for $11.99, yes, ladies, I said it, $11.99. See, I didn't have the mindset I do now. I thought I needed this kind of low end. You get people in and then you could upsell them. And I can tell you all about the upsell baloney phonies that are out there in the marketplace. And so I thought I could upsell. By month number 4, we had, I think, a third of the people that were in, if not a half, we had bounced a lot of payments. And so these people were still in the program because we had an automatic program that would, if they wanted to unenroll, they could, but they were not unenrolled. Their payments just weren't processing. And I was looking at this like, okay, wait a minute. I was thinking we were having problems with the vendors. So I call my vendors and make sure that their payment processing is okay. And they said, no, we're fine. Nothing's wrong. By month number 5 now, mind you, I'm doing a lot of work in this program. I really have no time for myself. I'm exhausted. I remember I was in a car driving on my way to Maryland to speak at an event, to keynote at an event. And I thought I was going to make it further up into Northern Maryland before I had to actually get to this event. I thought I was going to make it before I can get on this phone line, but I got on anyway. I stopped in a rest stop and I do the conference call, and a lot of them weren't there. They were complaining, "Oh, I have to watch a show. Oh, I got to clip my toenails." Had every excuse in the world why they couldn't show up live. Meanwhile, they have no clue. Number I-95. I have already driven 6 or 7 hours at this point. I'm exhausted, I'm hungry, and I'm cold. It's January, and I'm pulling over to service them at $11.99 live, but they can't show up from their warm bedroom, wherever they are. So I do the call, but I'm now at this point frustrated. I get to Maryland, I do the talk, and by the time I finish with the talk, I get a call from my bank letting me know that I had $3,000 or $4,000 worth of bounced checks. Bounced, rubbery checks all over the place. I'm like, from what? So when they start reading off all the checks, all of them said $11.99 unprocessed, $11.99 unprocessed. And so we have outstanding women who are not processing their payments in time. Now, the sick part is they had already gotten notification from our automatic billing systems as well as their own banks letting them know that these checks had not processed. Well, people started with the, "Can you put me on a payment plan for $11.99? Yes, I said it. One lady was like, she had a $23 balance. She needed a payment plan for the $23. I just was like, okay, this is it for me. This is a lot of work for $11.99. Do you also know that I was in a rest stop in the middle of the cold, in the middle of the night, facilitating a talk, and half of them didn't show up? So I'm seeing the commitment here. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And so the following month, with over $4,000 in bounced checks and fees, they had reported it to check systems rapidly because they thought that I was conducting some type of fraud, because all of these checks were going in succession that they had not been collected upon. And then at that time, you have a $35 bounce check fee. They're not paying it. I have to pay it. So after getting attorneys and everything else involved, it cost me $10,000 to get out of an $11 mistake. And what I'm saying to you is the cost of playing small and affordable and avoiding the money talk is costing you big time. That may have been a one-time $10,000 payment, but for some of you, it's been $10,000 worth of lost revenue a day. So for some of you, it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue a day because you're playing at that same level. It didn't take me a full year to go through the whole program to see continued losses. All I had to see it was one time. But for many women, especially those of you in business, you're taking these losses day after day after day after day, and you're hoping it will get better. One of the things I want to tell you is this. There's a habitual behavior between our money story, the things we believe about money, and our habits. The habit to charge low is a habitual habit. It's this habit of us saying, well, everybody else is doing it. Yeah, I got to start small, because we talk ourselves into the habit of allowing ourselves to discount what we're worth. So that's the first habit. Then there's a sabotaging habit where we look at people who charge much more and we start mounting up and comparing ourselves. Well, that person, they've been at it for 10 years, or that person has been doing this for 15 years. That person has been featured on this show and that show. So we start mounting up ourselves against the person that we're thinking is our competition, when that is a complete wrong way to do it. Or third, you start a business and you've been doing all of your research. You've been over-researching to the point where you have not researched where your pricing needs to be. So you're researching and paying attention to the wrong people. So here you are, let's say you try to start a candle company or a lighting company, and you're researching all the people who are right in your comfort zone, right in your local area. You're not thinking big. And what you do is you go according to their methodology and not according to what you really want. And so you cheapen the experience, you cheapen the value, and now you have money phobia, because now you're afraid of charging more. Because one of the things I deal with is women who, when I tell them, hey, your prices are too low. It's time for you to charge more. Well, they won't pay that because you won't get out of your comfort zone. You won't find people who will pay it. So it's a catch-22. If you don't leave your comfort zone, you won't get people who will pay you more. And if you don't let the people who go, who don't appreciate you at the rate that you're worth, you will never get to the next level. It's the truth. So here's what I want to tell you today. Money is a necessity. We have to stop whispering as women about it. We have to stop whispering. Oh my God, I can't talk about it. Shh, my mother told me not to do it. We have to stop worrying about being inspired, and we have to worry about being profitable. Because I know a lot of women who have a lot of purpose and a lot of passion, but don't make a lot of profit. Because simply something within them tells them that they're not worth it. Because that self-sabotaging behavior and those doubts and those phobias come right back up. And it allows us to play small. And if I can use my story as part of the anchor to be able to show you that my grandmother charging $600 for a $1,500 apartment in the 90s, where she sabotaged her earning potential for a home that was worth well over $1 million, is the same thinking I had when I knew I had millions of dollars worth of information in my mind that I can help others to get to the next level. And I'm selling it for $11.99. And limiting my earning potential, limiting my value potential, because I thought that that was the way you got started. Because I was hoping that I can upsell something that I can't upsell. You can't upsell to people who have nothing to buy with. It's a simple factor. I had nothing that they can actually buy. I had nothing. If you couldn't afford $11.99, what else can I upsell you? Nothing. So I was already working with the wrong audience. And all of you deserve to work with the best audiences possible. And I want you to get to the next level. I really do. But I want you to also address the kind of like the secrets in your head that you have about money. What do you think about when you think about charging high end? What do you think about? Are you just lured by high end and you're just scared to go there? You're scared to sell big ticket items? You're still scared to get out of your comfort zone? That's habitual behaviors. And that's what habits do. It keeps you in a place of, I can't do that. I could never. And when you don't believe in you, you cannot expect people in the marketplace to believe in you either. The first person who has to believe in you before you're investing in a business is you. You have to be your first investor. Always. Never go out in the market looking for an investor. You got to be your first investor. You've got to be your first believer. Don't go out here and look for someone else to believe in you. You've got to believe in you. And don't go out here playing small, because how you start is how you'll finish. So many women, so many great qualified women I know are still at a small level, still doing that $99 or 99 cent or $11.99 trick, thinking that it will grow someday. A decade later, they're still in that same predicament. And why? Because they've talked themselves out of abundance. Because their money story and their money history continues to haunt them day after day after day after day after day. Get out of your own way. Start reading things that are bigger than you. Start working in ways that are bigger than you. And the main thing you've got to do is you've got to get out of your comfort zone. I know that that's such a cliche, like everybody says it. How do you do it? You've got to look at what you've been doing and say, this is not working. I've got to try it differently than this. It's not about rebranding and getting a new logo and a new website. That has nothing to do with your comfort zone. If you don't believe in you, no website that you put up with new hosting and new graphics is going to change it, because that is only for optics. What happens when your confidence is low? Optics don't help it. You've got to get out of your money story by simply believing in yourself. You got to believe that you're worth it, but you got to believe that your confidence is being held up because you're in a comfort zone with people who can't get you anywhere. People at a certain level can't take you to a level they've never been. People who are not at a level where you need to be cannot create abundance for you at a level you've never been. Many of the women who I continue to try to work with, They are caught in their comfort zones because they are caught with people who make them feel good, but that cannot be good for them. It's just like that ice cream that you know that's in your freezer. It makes you feel good, but you know it's not good for you. There's sometimes when it's a treat, but then sometimes it doesn't help you. And if you really want to get out of your own way and be able to financially get into a place of abundance and excellence, you got to drop the stinking thinking that your money is going to be, it's going to be okay. We're going to sell on volume. We're going to keep working hard. Because for us as women, we work harder than we need to. We are the hardest working people on planet Earth. I've got to say. I've never seen a group of people work as hard as we do. But we cannot continue to work hard and not smart. I am committed to getting women past the penalty line of playing safe. That penalty line, that line that you're scared to go across because that is your penalty line. I'm here to make sure you take risks. But the only way you're going to take risks, you've got to get clear about money. And the only way you're going to get clear about money, look who you're measuring yourself against. You can't keep comparing yourself to anybody else. I always say you can't compare my 2017 with your new beginnings because it's not the same. I've been in this industry now going on 14 years. You can't compare your new day with my 14-year-old day. My 14-year-old worth of experiences. I have a ton of experiences. And I've lost and I've won and I've lost and I've won and I will always continue to go through hills and valleys. But one thing I'm very clear about, I know my worth. And for that reason, like I said, I don't do consultations. I think I put out enough content in the market. And I'm just saying this to you as a way of you understanding when you know your worth, you stay away from certain things. I know I put out enough great content in the marketplace where you can make decisions. I know I do a lot of great community work. I know I give a lot of value to the companies that I speak for. I know I give a lot of value and content on the shows that I've been a part of. I give value every day. There's no need for me to have to talk to anybody else again. There's just no need. And when you get to a point where you know what you're worth, and it doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. I'm just saying this is just me. But when you get to a point where you know what you're worth, you know what you have to eliminate to get where you need to go. Because by me not doing that kind of work, it frees up my free time to be able to work effectively, to work strategically, and most of all, to make the kind of money that is life changing. And I want the same experience for you. So stop working small. If there's any way I can support you to be able to get out of your own way, play big today, get past the penalty line and take bigger risks. Never hesitate to let me know at theconfidencefactor4women.com. We will be so glad to make sure we support you to really get where you need to be and stop playing safe in 2017. I'll see you soon.